Yo, 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 it's the Black King, and welcome back. Welcome back to the Black King Plays Final Fantasy VII. And in this episode, I'm actually gonna go catch Yuffie off screen. Because, it's gonna take a while before I get her. And we've already seen all that process and whatnot to get her. There is, however, something I should tell you about Yuffie. Now, this is something that actually has nothing to do with this version. Even if it is emulated, it doesn't really matter. Which actually it is emulated, not that it, But like what I mean, like even if I'm playing this on an actual PlayStation, which I'm not right now, as you can tell. So if I was, you wouldn't see the buttons on the screen. But anyway, you know, um, so we'll be right back after this mission. I think we've seen this enemy, just in case. Now that enemy we just defeated has an enemy skill that we cannot get right now. And it's because it's something that has to do something with, well, we have to use another character or get the material itself. So, to get it. It's a special kind of enemy skill that cannot be done any other way. As you'll notice is about most of the time you can still manipulate some enemies, but there's just skills that even then they don't actually have that you can actually use. You can use on other enemies throughout the game, but there's also other enemies that have skills that we're going to be running across that we're going to be getting as well, that they will not use on us. It has to be something you have to use with another material, and we'll go over that when I get that character later. Now here's an enemy right there, this guy right here called Formula, that we'll be seeing in most other places. Anyway, later. I should also point out that most items, or I don't know, but enemies that you fight that are in the air you cannot reach. I don't know why this game is like that, but it is what it is. And then there's some games you can play that no matter how high they are, you can still attack them, which is crazy, but hey. Anyway, because a lot of times you really notice, you say, can't reach. So, especially like boss type monsters and stuff like that, if they're flying in the air. Alright, later. Alright, here's a new enemy, I think. Yeah. If I remember correctly, they have nuts. It's a good idea to steal from them. You don't have to steal from them now, because it won't make a difference. I mean, really much difference until later. But either way, I would definitely steal as much as you can from them. Alright, later. Also, you can scan the same person twice if there's only one in the battle. Especially if you're trying to help out max at least one sense to get rid of it, because you only need one sense anyway. And once I get to a certain point where I have more slots, guess who's gonna get steel? Oh. And that's gonna be Cloud. because, you know. Anyway, see you later. Bye-bye. Well, I just dropped the dang recorder. Whoops. Anyway, here's our new enemy. This is the character. And yeah, you can use learn flamethrower from her too. Nothing to steal. Okay, see you later. Yeah, and apparently she's called Mysterious Ninja. Alright, later. So yeah, also you might want to say before getting this girl, so that if you want to do different dialogues, because you will get different ones with different characters. But again, you only have a choice between 4, characters besides Cloud. So, later. Of course, that's what happens when you do the one time when you go, alright, and then you go to your menu. You can actually do it while she's on the ground. Doesn't sound right, but basically, go to your menu while she's laying down. But either way, I noticed something. I never actually noticed it said not interested. Because I remember there was some other thing you had to select in order to go on and get her. But anyway, later. Well, that's what happens when you say, well, you're going to lose again. And then she runs off and runs right through Nunaki. So, Anyway, later. Now, here's something else I noticed. I never actually seen before, even though it says planes right there. Yeah, I'm actually in the menu, and she's not laying on the ground. I'm behind her, though. I remember any time I got into the menu, she would run away. But, hey, alright, later. So, basically, this is what happens when you select go ahead. She goes another direction to the right, up into the sort of like a right way. So, and that's what the kind of dialogue you get when you do that. Anyway. And, see, where we're facing now, that's what happened last time, except we know we get the same dialogue. But we're a little bit more closer this time. But this time it's because I said, you kidding? I've never done this before, so this is the first time you have to bear with me anyway. See a little bit. Oddly enough, you would think that would be something naughty, but that's not what she means. In other words, maybe you want her to help you that badly, she can't refuse. But it's funny in an ironic sense because that can be taken so literally in a naughty, naughty way. But it's not meant that way. So it's a dirty little hidden joke. At the same time, it's not really meant that way. Even though it can be construed that way. Anyway, later. See, if at this point you're getting this screen the first time, that's because you selected what's your name, which is something you should never, ever do. I found that out myself. All on my own. Believe it or not, before I ever even knew that you weren't supposed to ever do this. And that's if you select the option, because the other ones I've never done before, but this one here, I have, where I said, well, I didn't do it this time, obviously, but, you can't tell that, but anyway, yeah, so, there's only 2 times you'll see this time, and the one time you actually wanted it to be like this is the time when you said, I forget the second option. But anyway, I'm going to go with what it is. I'll be right back. Yeah. Okay, this is what happens when you put me, the names. See, any way to kind of trick you. See, this is the first time you might see it, but this is like a kind of like a trick. And now you don't know which way she went. They're all confused. You're the one who should go first. Okay. Later. And this is actually the correct one. Let's hurry on. Alright, Now, let me think here. Good thing I have plenty of those. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take her out momentarily. Because, see, right now we actually have 3 other people besides Barrett and Nanaki. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to change out this for Barrett. And I'm going to tell you why. See, with this character, in the materia that right now that Nanaki has, this. No, that's not it. Sorry, wrong materia. That one right there, steel. You have a higher chance rating with her to have steel because she's a thief. And you're better off putting it on her. But I wouldn't do it all the time unless, of course, you want her in your party all the time. And there's also Cloud is good at it, even Sid. I would not put steel materia on Nanaki for very long. The only reason why I have the steel, because see, primarily, I always have Cloud with the steel materia. And that's the way I choose to do it. As for, like, any other character, I might put it on somebody for temporary measures. But see, with materia being on other characters, they don't gain any EXP or AP, ability points, AP, ability points. Unless they're in battle with you, unless they like participate with you or some sort of matter, regardless of whether they end the battle or not. So, anyway, another character that we've all seen before, which is Sid Highwind, he actually has a good affinity with steel as well. But the highest one that you want to put it with, because it will get a lot more into it, is Yafi, especially because of the optional events you could put it with. But other than that, I wouldn't recommend putting it on her. And I don't do that anyway unless I'm making her do some other things. But either way, I don't put it on her. Of course, the one optional thing that I can put it on her for, there's not much point. Because they don't have anything. Anyway. Now what I'm going to do is... Alright, that's right. She's got something on her that is also useful. See, with the combination of steel and throw is good to have. You also want someone to have the ability of heal, which is Poison, Isuna, which resists getting poisoned, and Isuna just heals all effects. Resist, I'm not sure what it does. Again, I have no clue. Not a clue. I've never even gotten it up to that point before. I've had Isuna. I've never even had this poison. I never even knew that was possible. But when you permanently make a character like Cloud, this is primarily, you can still do it however you want to. But in other words, traditionally wise, Cloud sort of takes up the role of Sephiroth. And by that I mean, of course, he's not got the affinity of where he's got everything that Sephiroth could ever possibly be without becoming what he does in the end of the game. So, anyway. And I would put Chocomog on, but I'm not going to. And speaking of that, there's another character that has a materia. And I'm going to be taking off him. I don't think Sid actually comes with the materia. Some of the characters we actually get have no materia on them whatsoever. Whereas some do. Like Nanaki came with one. Or is by default named Red 13. Anyway, I'll see you a little momentarily. Also, I should point out that with the throw ability, it's actually good with about anybody. But the way to truly maximize its combination for effects with steel is to put it with Yuffie. That's if you care about that kind of junk. I, on the other hand, have no reason to do so. Well, it's true I could put all that on Barrett right now since he has empty slots, and I forgot that he even has it. Otherwise, I would have already put long range on. I forgot about it. Either way, I'll see you momentarily. There's actually two things I forgot to mention because I forgot about this. Actually, no, I didn't forget. I didn't even remember. Anyway, there's actually two things. These guys actually do carry nuts, but it's random if you can get it. Like a 1% chance. But a full chance is to get ethers from these guys. But there are nuts to get from them. But these kind of same nuts can be acquired from other enemies throughout the game. Anyway, later. Now this place is actually only mainly important for one thing only. I mean, there's actually a few things now we should get now while we're at it, if we don't already have them, like equipment and stuff like that. It will otherwise be more useless, unless, of course, you save it up just to sell for cash. Enough of it. About that. Otherwise, the important thing that's above all else we cannot get right now. So we can either wait till later when that time comes, or we can go ahead and do things now. Either way, I'm going to go ahead and do a live stream. But there's something about, I think, like if you say not interested or no, you don't want to help out or something like that, that you can run into that. But you want to unlock this as soon as possible. I would actually go ahead and unlock it and then try to do it later, maybe. Or fight this now. I would go ahead and fight this now if you want to. But it also helps to go ahead and fund them until a certain time that you can actually get this certain item. And it doesn't really matter how many times you fight them, because it really has no effect on what you need. But either way, I'll see you later. Okay, so there's somebody we gotta talk to in order to get to the shops anyway, so we could go ahead and talk to them, but it won't make a difference. But anyway, this is the final video I'm making for tonight. Just so you know, I also wanted to tell you that before I continue on. So, let's see here. We got another shop here, but before we continue on, I'm going to point out, though, that you might want to save as well. And, you got to talk to this guy down here. Unfortunately, you just do. Before you come up here and talk to these guys. And, and speaking of as much as you want to, you actually have to wait a little while. It's just like the trick with, in Legend of Zelda. You have to wait for a while for the picture painting. So, anyway, later. Now, as you can tell, I'm talking to this guy first. I don't remember who. It doesn't really matter which order you go into. This actually is an item shop. I did not remember that. Sadness. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and get 8 of these. Buy, sell, exit. Another one of those. Okay. Now we're going to talk to this guy. Hello, do your best. We will too. Blah, blah, blah. Okay, we don't care. Yada, 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 yada. Now, what this store sells is about like most magic stores. I forgot they even sold magic. But you'll find that in most places anyway. Like I said, if they have equipment, you want to go ahead and get it. If not, and if you remember, all you can do is take a chance if you haven't remembered, if you haven't played it for a long time. You probably might barely remember the place, but it's been a while since I've been up here. I have no need to buy that. So, anyway. It's also a good idea, since you're here anyway, in case you decide to do any kind of battling, or especially if you're going to recruit your fee right away, to go ahead and heal up before you save. I would definitely recommend always heal up before you save. Yeah, we'll get some rest. That's if you've been damaged like I have been. I was damaged. If you weren't, because a lot of times I have the opportunity of not getting damaged when I get to this point, but not always. It also depends on whether or not the battle will let me go. This game is like most other games too. When it comes to battles, it won't let you go. You have to actually fight in order to go. Either take out enough enemies or enough of their health to go. So, and at this point, yes, I would recommend saving. I'll be back in a moment. As you can see, I've saved at 4 Condor. Now, this won't affect anything. Sometimes they would say that back and forth this would affect something later on, but it won't, actually. But it is a good idea to go ahead and do this now while you can. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go and fund their cause. I might have to fight a little bit, but it's okay. And like I said, you have to kind of wait for a while. Even though most of the time you'll be stuck anyway before you can come back. So, I mean, you could easily take the boat if you have enough money to go back and forth. But anyway, later. And I would save anyway in case you're going to be doing these battles. But if not, well, save anyway. Like outside or something. But at least get this started and get them funded. Sometimes it won't let you fight for quite some time. But anyway, I would also recommend, see, if you have save states to use them, but not always. I mean, you can if you want to. See, a lot of the majority of times, I will be saving on the memory card, and most of the time I will be using save state depending on where it's at and whether or not I can save. But, actually for certain events or whatever, if I screw up or something, because sometimes I don't remember or I don't know. All I can do is probably guess instead of looking at a guide, because sometimes I will look at a guide. I try to typically figure things out on my own if I can, even though that I sometimes use the help of save states or memory card saves. Either way, I can actually do something. Now, this door here you can't go out right now, even though it's red. Sometimes you'll notice that as well. You won't be able to use it. The only time you can is if there becomes a certain battle where they come up to the door. Otherwise, and mainly, generally, all the time, which is ultimately in the end, it always has to be, it winds up being the boss. Sometimes you'll get where you can fight a regular enemy that isn't the boss. But other than that, they're like sub-mini bosses anyway. Alright, later. Should point out that as well, after this point, after I've skipped out all this, I'm going to end the video when I get to a certain point. And until then. Also, it's important to fund them as much as you can in order to get upgrades at certain points. And you can still, even after the fact that you get the major item for the storyline, you can still fight them. But you will need upgrades, because you can still use the original ones, but to make more of a bit of a difference. Even though you still have a limit about how much you can put out there, there never used to be when I originally played it back in the day. I don't think it was on emulation or on console, but since I've done this on emulation, yeah, I've had limits. I've ran into where I couldn't put no more out, but otherwise, anyway, later. If you have the money, go for the highest, which is 5,000 each and every time. Even though sometimes it only gets you up to about 2,000 for their deal. Even though they actually need like 3,000, which doesn't make any sense. Or you can just go to whatever. Anyway, later. I should point out as well that if whatever you can afford to put out, the maximum you can put out is what you should do. But I always go for the 5,000, whatever it is, because by this point, even if I haven't already, because I'm not used to having this code, or this unlocked amount of money, I should say. Not code, but unlocked amount of money. I would actually have a whole lot of money by this point, and I would go ahead and contributed that much. And I've also contributed smaller amounts too when I didn't have this. But, either way, it doesn't really matter as long as you get to 3,000. You know. Anyway. Yeah, and sometimes they'll say like something about you fighting or whatever, even though sometimes it doesn't make sense, but yet they don't need you right now because there's no sign of anything. But they'll do that. I don't know why, but you know, that's the way it goes. I honestly don't know if they're gonna have this in the remake or not. I haven't played it. There have been some footage of the actual game. I guess it's not in English yet. I have no idea. That's a little bit confusing. But anyway, later. Now at this point, you could put contribute guild, which actually, if you did that, they would say blah blah blah, and then yeah, we're ready. You can also put ready, wait, which means you can have time to go save and then come back if you need to, which I don't. I can put save if I need to, which I'm not worried. And you can also put here more, which I don't think they give you more. And you can put let them handle it if you want to, which I don't really recommend. You can if you want to, because sometimes it does help to do that as well, but not always. But like the first time around, don't say let them handle it, because you want to get to at least know the whole situation, or not situation, but the what the enemy's like and all that in order, because sometime in the plot line, the main story plot line, you're gonna have to come here anyway. So you might as well get to do it. That's the reason why. Otherwise, you know, it's just better that way. That way, especially if you haven't played it in a long time, it's a good idea to go ahead and get back to handling controls. You might have to get to it again, but at least this way you'll know around it. You only have to have done it twice anyway. That's if you've been away from it for a long enough time. But anyway, see you later. Apparently, which I never really noticed this before. I mean, I've seen the X's, but I wasn't really paying attention. But you can't just place units anywhere, regardless of whether you're. I'm gonna guess it's gonna be the same thing, which would make sense. Anyway, during the main plot line storyline, that you can't actually place anything down here. You can have them move once you set them in their corresponding places where they can be set, like during up here, wherever it lets you sit. And that's whenever the X goes away. So, anyway, later. Also, even during gameplay, you might actually have to wait a bit before something gets destroyed or something. Or like these right here, with their maybe you're maxed out on them. Yeah, you might have to wait till they're attacked, or you can remove them. But you can't remove these guys. You have to wait till they're dead, which they will die anyway. You can't like do this like you can in Command and Conquer, where you can send up. Well, you can reset your goals and wait for a little while, and then put more out. You have to like wait till they're dead to put more out. Anyway, see you later. Also, you want to go ahead and start moving at least your attackers, which are your defenders, your shooters, and your, well, basically anybody you can attack. Most of these people cannot attack. I mean, they could, but they suck at battle. You know, like the repairs. I've never actually been able to use one effectively, but I mean, even when I originally played, like this guy that can place bombs, you know, like this guy right here called workers. I didn't really pay attention to the idea that they could set bombs. I never even knew that they could. I recently discovered that like a while back. But anyway, they're useful, but they are not useful when it comes to actually attacking. I mean, they'll attack a lot more better than repairs can, but they're still not as handy as, say, these guys, you know, well, these guys, fighters. So what are these called? Fighters, attackers. I guess there's a difference. The way they move and everything, I don't know. They all attack, so yeah. Anyway, point of this objective is at this point you won't have them start moving at least to a designated area. And don't bother worry about that. You know, at least to protect them, because if you don't start moving them, these will get attacked, and you could let your defenders and stuff like that move to a point that eventually a monster gets up to here. You don't really want that. I mean, for a lot of different reasons, but most of the time you can do that if you want to gain a little bit of XP. Otherwise, most of the time it's not worth it. I mean, you want it to be surrounded or anything. As I guess that can happen. I've never actually had that happen, but anyway, later. And apparently, once you set a bomb, they're pretty much useless until that bomb has been used. So, you know, it's like they automatically restock. So I don't know. Anyway, later. I said this is almost about the shortest fight I've ever had to go through. Most of the time, it's pretty long. Even for the first time I've actually done this. But anyway, later. Apparently, you can't move very far. Well, actually, I don't think you could anyway. But you can pretty much move as far as you could. But this one, you can't. I didn't realize that before either. Unlike in Final Fantasy VI. Yes, 6, because that's what it's actually called. Anyway. Yeah. Because there's a point in the game that's kind of like this. But, you know, it's a little bit more different. The boss is like a general main boss. This one's like... It's not like a mini sub-boss like this is. Anyway. Later. Also, I could have these guys go ahead and attack that guy, or I can let him come up here, because it's no problem right now. We can pretty much handle this guy. Especially because we also healed up. It wouldn't have mattered if we didn't either. But, you know, if we'd have been low enough leveled, yeah, I wouldn't recommend taking him on. But this is a good chance to also do some, get some AP points, ability points, you know, and be able to scan this guy. I don't think he has anything on him, but, you know, we'll find out in a moment here, later. Oh, and in case you're seeing that green tin, that's something I never was able to do before either. I didn't even know that they could heal up other characters. Like, apparently they can repair catapults and stuff like that. I've never actually done that before either. I just let it be what it is. So, either way, see you later. Oh, before I go, sometimes it's also best to let your soldiers take out the boss, but not always. Anyway, later. Oh no, it's coming, it's coming, it's coming! And this is actually the only time you'll ever see this happen. It's only the point to even bother with that door I was telling you about that we couldn't go through. They wouldn't let us go through that way. Enemy invasion, oh no! What will we ever do? Oh, I don't know. Oh my god, they're attacking, we're getting on you! I guess I don't know what voice to give him. So, anyway, this is a new enemy. He uses Earth. Yes, I went ahead and set up my characters a little bit differently. Forgot to tell you about that before I even came up here. Look at that. Alright, so since this is that too, we'll let him sense as well. Commander Grandhorn. Okay, so who has steel? Uh-oh. I forgot to equip steel. Well, either way, I guess we won't be doing that. And he doesn't have any enemy skills, so I wouldn't worry about that either. I'm pretty sure he doesn't have anything on him anyway, so it doesn't really matter. Good time to do this too. It also increases the chance rate of getting the fat chocobo. Even though that still doesn't always appear. Just a chance rate. Fat chocobo is actually much well, better in terms of doing stats and stuff to this guy. I think that heals him. Nope, that's good. Now, as far as throw command goes, it's only useful for weapons that you don't care about. Oh, that's a good item to have. We made it through that one somehow, but she'll be back. Okay. I think it's going. Seems like there's no activity at Shinra. Now let's see here about funding. See, as long as it remains at that, when it gets lower, that's the time to refill it. Always make sure you come here as often as you can to make sure it's up to that point right on showing right there. I say often. Don't come here every minute, because it doesn't take a minute. It takes a little bit longer than that before it goes down. So I'd wait till then. Alright, so anyway, see a little bit. Alright, so I've saved here, and I've also, before that, rested up in here. Also, before we go, let's go over the throw material one more time. Because, see, we got some shops where we got some items in. Speaking of throw command, let's see here. Where did I do with that? That wouldn't be it. This is the command, the material I was talking about in another video about the throw. It's good for items like, like weapons that you're no longer using that are useless, or you've got more than one of. And they do a bunch of damage. If I can even speak, they do a ton of damage. The more this gets XP into it. So yeah, it doesn't matter what weapon or armor you use to throw at the enemy. Yes, you can throw armor. I think. I'm not sure. It's been a while since I used this. But I do know for a fact you can use weapons. And anyway, so yeah, any items that are useless, again, should be only picked up at the corresponding time to be used now. Most of the time, you won't be able to get those weapons until later, which makes no sense, which I noticed that painstaking pattern. But I mean, they're only useless by attacks and how much slots they have. They look pretty cool. Can do a bit of damage too, depending on how strong your character is. But other than that, they're not as useful as they can be, like these are when they have slots and can do a lot more growth for your material that you have. But either way, yeah, so there is that. And what we're going to be doing is we're going to be doing some more shopping. Can't guarantee most of the things we'll see we'll need to be shopping for, but yeah. I was going to go ahead and heal up and save outside, but I decided not to. And anyway, yes, we're at Fort Conjure still. Anyway, I'll see you all in the next episode. This has been DaBLackKing Plays Final Fantasy VII. Bye-bye.